Anyone got a pencil? Hello, my name's Mark and I'm the host of the Mixtape podcast, where every week on the show I will ask my guests to make up an imaginary mixtape. They'll give it a title and pick 6 tracks. Track 1, what's going to be your intro track, your attention grabber, your track 1 side one that's going to draw me in and make me want to listen to the rest of your tape. Track 2, pick a song that you sing loud and proud when you're on your own in the car or the shower. Track 3, pick your favourite cover version. Track 4, pick a song you wish you could have played to your 18-year-old self. Track 5, pick a song that you would put on your mixtape to let the listener know that you are romantically interested. And track 6, I'm going to ask them to pick something a little bit obscure, maybe a B-side or an album track. Don't forget to smash that follow or plus sign at the top of the page and you'll be notified every time there's a new episode. And you can follow me on Instagram at the Mixtape Perth. Hope you enjoy this week's chat. Hello and welcome to this week's Mixtape show. And today it's my absolute pleasure to welcome Jim Wald from Sparta to the show. How are you, Jim?
Good. How are you?
Yeah, very well, thanks, mate. Very well. So you're bringing the tour to Australia in May next year. I'll just crash through the dates real quick. It's May the 16th, the Triffid in Brisbane, May the 17th, Metro in Sydney, May the 18th, Croxton Band Room in Melbourne, the 22nd of May is the Gov in Adelaide, and as always, saving the very best till last, the 23rd of May, the Rosemount Hotel in Perth. Touring.com for tickets for those. Has it been a while since you've been to Australia, Jim?
It has been, yeah. I was there in 2012 was the last time I was there. So this is the longest stretch I've ever been since starting to go. Yeah. So I look forward to it. It's been a minute.
Yeah, no, it has. It has for sure. And you're performing the Wiretap Scars album in full this tour, is that right?
That's right. Yeah, start to finish.
So how is that like in terms of like sort of set dynamic and preparation for the tour? Like how is that different to like what your normal set sort of preparation would be for a normal tour?
So some of this is songs that haven't been played in a very, very long time. And one thing that we realized early on, so just like a bit of work, sort of relearning stuff. We play as a 3-piece now as well. So there's like a little bit of guitar acrobatics for me going on. But I love it. I really love it. I love a 3-piece so much. It's such a good feel. Part of the set that we figured out really early on in the tour is that if we play the whole album front to back without really saying anything, it allows people to kind of go into this time machine and sort of, it's a different feeling than a regular show. It really is. So we just sort of start, we don't say anything. We just start playing. And then 50 minutes later, we stop and say, thank you. That's about it.
Right, okay, cool. I had last week on the show, I was speaking to Danita Sparks from L7, and she was saying they're doing a similar thing with Bricks Are Heavy at the moment. They're in Australia this week, and she was saying like it's hard from a point of view of like Wargasm is obviously the first track on the album, and it's like a really hard one to play and sing.
Same.
And it's like you like to go in sometimes, with a warm up vocally and with the old fingers and that, especially if it's a cold night. And she said it was a completely like sort of a curveball, like going in straight off the bat with a track like that.
That was like the easiest. I mean, that was easily that's the hardest part of doing this, is starting with Cut Your Ribbon. It's a full on banger. It's the first song that it's rough. So there was like a learning curve on that one, but we're there and now it feels very natural, so it's okay. But the first couple of shows were a little scary for me. That's such a it's such a big note, to sing.
Yeah,
but,
sure.
Now it's all good.
I wanted to ask you as well. Excuse me. We sort of had this penciled in for a week or two ago, and then I got the email from John to say we postponed because you broke your collarbone. How did that come about, mate? Tell me it was rock and roll sort of accident, like you were crowd surfing or something, and not you just fell off a ladder cleaning your gutters or something like that.
Well, it's kind of in the middle. I fell off the stairs loading out, so it was after the last show, and I missed a step, and luckily we have like 5 months off. We don't have another show booked until Australia. So we have a big long break this time of year.
Yeah.
And luckily it happened then and not in the middle of the tour. So because it's like a 12-week recovery. So I'll be doing this stupid thing for a while. And but yeah, it was sort of in the middle of rock and roll and falling off the ladder at my house.
When John told me, I was like, oh, I bet he was crowd surfing or something at a show, and
No.
they got dropped him or something like that. Yeah, that would have been hilarious.
No.
Well, not
Oh, that would
hilarious,
have
but
been
you know what I
awful.
mean.
Yeah.
And when you're sort of talking about Australia, Jim, I noticed that you're sort of a veteran of the big day outs, and I always like to ask bands when they're coming back to Australia. Obviously, the big day outs sort of finished up now as an event. But what are some of your like memories? Every sort of band I've spoken to so far have got nothing but positive, happy things to say about the tour and the sort of family atmosphere that it sort of created. And I remember Rick from Ash called it the big day off because there was so many like sort of breaks and stuff in between. How was it for you, mate?
I mean, a lot of us refer to it as the greatest festival to ever exist on earth for us, for rock and roll. It's given me some of lifelong friends. You know, last night Queens of the Stone Age was here in El Paso, and I got to go and hang out with Josh, who I consider a big brother and a mentor. I met him at Big Day Out. That's where we met and connected and bonded and have been friends for 20 years. I made lifelong friends with the Coldplay guys. That's a band that I normally probably wouldn't have crossed paths with. Unless it was a festival like that. We got to spend a bunch of time in hotel lobbies drinking and listening to people play piano and going to each other's side shows and seeing, you know, like, again, that's a band that I probably never would have spent much time with, even though I like their band. It's just we wouldn't have been on tour together. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think Big Day Out gave all of us like these kind of, it makes people accessible amongst each other, you know, like maybe not to fans as much as like other bands, but you can be a small band and be hanging out with some of the biggest bands in the world, and you get to learn that they're great people. You know, I was walking through a lobby on the 2003, I want to say 2003 Big Day Out. I was walking through a lobby of the hotel early in the morning because, you know, all of us have different jet lag issues going on. And Taylor Hawkins waved me over and said, eat breakfast with me. And so I got to have a meal with Taylor. Things like that don't normally happen, you know, and it just happens to be that, he saw my band play. He liked it. He said, come eat breakfast. We got to spend an hour just being dudes hanging out. And that's like a memory that I'll have forever. Sort of that first hangout with him and what turned out to be, you know, a little bit of a friendship when we'd see each other, and a really sweet guy.
Sure. Yeah, no, I think it's much lamented the fact that it's not going anymore by the sort of Australian music community. We really miss that, and there's nothing really that's sort of come along and sort of replaced it. There's a few over east, but being in Perth, it's kind of tricky because I think from what I sort of know about the live music industry in Australia, quite often events like that, Perth is kind of like subsidised by the East Coast shows because it's so far away and bringing all the gear over, and everything's so much more expensive here because we're so much further away. Look, I think the same company that operate Lollapalooza now sort of have the sort of rights, if you like, to use the Big Day Out name, but they haven't resurrected the festival in any way, shape, or form, which is a real shame. I wanted to ask you very briefly, one of my most sort of memorable moments of ever seeing a live performance was One Arm Scissor on Later with Jules Holland. Amazing, powerful performance. Like, it's one of the most incredible things I've ever seen. And poor Robbie Williams going on like after, his face was an absolute picture. Like, what are some of your memories of playing on Jules Holland and how was that for you?
I think we were just, you know, that's like the chemical reaction of when you take people that are uncomfortable in a situation and film it because we weren't used to that world yet. You know, like we had very little experience playing any sort of televised thing. And on top of that, I mean, we were definitely, you know, most of us came from the punk community, and we were still a little bit hesitant as to what was happening with our band. It was a, you know, like all bands that come from where we come from and get popular, there's like a growing pains, you know, and so that's just our nervous energy Like that's just our nervous energy happening.
Yeah,
And Robbie was great, honestly. And I got to spend a little bit of time with him at the
yeah.
Brits later
Oh
in
yeah,
that year.
yeah, yeah,
And hang out with him for a bit and actually get to talk about music and
yeah,
tattoos, and it was
yeah. He's got
cool.
heaps. Yeah, yeah,
He was really, really nice, and he was very respectful and very, he could have he almost got hit with the chair. That's the whole thing that happened. So
yeah, yeah, yeah.
luckily we didn't kill one of England's beloved pop stars, but it made for an interesting night. It was just such a wild group of people.
Later with
Yeah,
Jules Holland,
super fun.
it's an absolute institution, and
Yeah,
it's one of those shows that I
yeah.
still follow on the YouTube channel. So I can't see it, but every week it comes out, I still watch it because it's just it's absolutely incredible show. And again, I've discovered so much great new music from watching Later with Jules Holland over the years. It's been fantastic. So when I get guests on, I like to ask them to make up like an imaginary mixtape, and I sort of
Yeah.
drop the tracks that we talk about in between the chat, and I give you like some categories like to pick songs from. So we'll do it on the fly. Sometimes there's preparation involved, but yeah, it's all good. We can do it. Sometimes it's even better if we just do it on the fly. So track one of the mixtape, Jim, is a song you put on your mixtape that's like an attention grabber that's going to kick it off and draw me in and make me want to listen to the rest of the tape. So what would you put for as that, mate, for track one?
Fugazi Waiting Room.
Yeah, love that. Love that track. Yeah, they're. I don't think I've seen them live. I've got a little sort of mental hit list of bands that I want to see live, and yeah, I think I might have missed out there over the years. But yeah, fantastic choice, brilliant, brilliant track. And what is it sort of about that track, Jim, that you feel is like a sort of would grab attention?
It's just like that groove. It just kicks right in. It kicks right in, and it's got that groove, and it's got, when it builds up to that chorus. I don't know. It's just like one of the best written songs. I mean, I love Fugazi anyway, but that is just a well-written song,
Yeah,
period.
absolutely, absolutely. And track two of your mixtape, Jim, is a song that you sing loud and proud when you're on your own in the car or the shower, mate.
Honestly, I really love that song Chandelier.
See ya.
Yeah,
Yeah,
see,
that's a great one. That yeah, oh, that's a superb
it's
choice.
such a good chorus, and like, yeah, I get down with that, but I do it privately for sure.
Yeah, no, that's an absolute banger. That I love that one. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a really good cover version of that by an Irish singer called Damien Rice. It's really good. There's barely any. There's barely any. It's just really sparse piano and vocals. Yeah, it's an amazing cover. That. Yeah, track three, Jim, is pick your favorite cover version.
Ooh, that's a tough one. And I'm gonna mess this up because I don't know the name of the band. So somebody covered a Nine Inch Nails song. This is why I should have done my homework.
Okay, not the Johnny Cash one.
Not the John. I mean, that's like a no-brainer,
Yeah, I
obviously.
know. Yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah.
probably like one of the greatest covers
Absolutely.
ever.
Yeah,
God damn, what's the name of that? And it's funny because the way I reference music would be impossible for most people to understand, because it's like, oh, that's the one song that has that killer keyboard patch. You know what I mean? Like, I don't.
yeah, yeah,
The,
yeah,
the way I think about it is like, oh,
yeah,
I love that Nine Inch Nails song because of that one keyboard patch or
yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
And that's not in the cover, but damn it, I can't remember the name of the. Well, I'll have to pick another one. I mean, I think probably Hurt is as good as it's gonna
Yeah,
get.
yeah, no, absolutely. I think,
I'm trying to think of a better cover. I mean, I think, Joe Strummer doing Redemption Song maybe up there with that
yeah,
level of like, holy shit, how can it be as good or better than the Bob Marley version? Obviously, the Bob Marley version is classic, but Joe
mm,
Strummer's is pretty ridiculously good.
yeah,
Yeah, that's pretty good. Maybe I'll
yeah.
go with
No,
that one. I
go with
gotta
that
get
one.
I gotta
Yeah, yeah.
I gotta get Strummer
Love
in there
drummer.
somewhere. So
Yeah, no, for sure. And track four, Jim, I ask you to pick a song that you wish you could have played to your 18-year-old self.
holy cow. Jesus, man. That's a heavy question.
Yeah, that's normally the one that needs the most thinking time. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm gonna say, because like besides Chandelier, there's a song, Wrecking Ball, that Miley Cyrus
Yeah,
sings.
yeah.
So, and I realize those are songwriters that are writing that song.
Mm,
I don't think she wrote it necessarily, but either way, her version, I think when I was 18, I was so close-minded to stuff outside of punk rock that
Yeah.
I would have missed stuff like that. I would have missed how well a song was written because I was living in what I thought I was supposed to be doing.
Mm.
What I thought was this is punk, this is what I am, this is who I am, this is what I do, this is what I wear, this is what I listen to. And I think I missed a lot of cool stuff that I would have really loved to see. I mean, I didn't go to see the Monsters of Rock tour because it was like too not punk enough, you know. So I
Yeah,
missed
yeah,
Faith No
yeah,
More and Guns
yeah.
N' Roses and Metallica, I think, right, was the lineup. And my wife was at that show, and she always like makes fun of me for being too punk to go to like one of the greatest shows ever. So I think
Yeah.
it would be something like that, you know. It'd be like, I would say Miley Cyrus, Wrecking Ball,
Yeah.
because it's such a powerful, it's just such a well-written song, right? And her
Mm.
delivery is so spot on. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's what I would, and tell myself to get my head out of my ass. That's what I would do.
But it's a conversation I've had a couple of times. I remember having a very, very similar conversation with a guy called Trent from a Perth punk band called Last Quokka, and he said a very similar thing. Like he was at that age when he was just punk, 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 and he couldn't look like outside of his lane, sort of thing, in terms of
Yeah,
music, and he really regretted that. Like in a similar way to yourself, like in terms of other genres. And yeah, I always think like pop gets a bit of a bad rap. There's obviously some amazing songwriters in the pop genre, but because it is pop, they don't get the kind of kudos or whatever that
yeah,
other musicians get, who are seen as more sort of, I don't know, serious sort of musos. And I always think a good sign
yeah,
is when you strip a, like when you do these, like in Australia we have like a version, and in England they have the live lounge where bands go on and do these cover versions of songs. When they
yeah,
strip a pop song like right back just to like chords and vocals, and it still sounds amazing, that's always
yeah,
a sign of an amazing songwriting. Do you know what I mean? When you
yeah,
can strip it back
yeah,
like that, and it's still, and you haven't got all the bells and whistles dressing it up, and it still sounds amazing. That's always a sign of a well-written pop song for me, for
absolutely.
sure. Track 5, Jim, is, we've all done it over the years. I'm sure you have as well. And when you make up a mixtape and you put on a song to let the listener know that you're sort of romantically interested, you're trying to woo them, what would be a song that you would pick for that?
Luckiest by Ben Folds.
Oh, you know what? That's one of mine and my ex-wife's songs.
It's
So I've had to let
it's
that go now. That was that yeah, that was at our wedding as well. It was
Oh,
it was
sorry,
in the
man.
running. It was in the running for our like sort of first dance at our wedding. We went with Van Morrison in the end, but yeah, it annoys me that, because it's such an amazing song.
It is,
Um,
yeah, but
yeah,
you
and
lost it in the divorce.
I did, mate. Yeah, I have had this thing going on where, because we obviously were together for a long time, like 15 odd years, and music was a massive thing in our relationship. Like we met sort of in a mutual group of friends going to gigs in London, and music was always like a huge thing in our lives. And when we
Yeah,
split, I made up a list. So I had a white list, a black list, and a grey list. So white list, that's my stuff that
yeah,
I want. I'm keeping, and there's no way I'm giving that back. Then the black list was like, Ed Sheeran, Adele, Matchbox 20. Do you know what I mean? That was like her stuff. And then in the middle,
right.
there's this grey list that I'm fighting for still, like Paolo Nutini and bands like that. And I'm trying to attach new memories to those artists
Sure.
to try
Yeah,
and, like, yeah, sort of take them away. But yeah, no,
yeah, that's
Ben
fine
Folds
though.
is long gone, mate. It's Brick now. Brick by Ben Folds is the one. Is that's the one that I associate now? Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's funny.
Okay, and finally, Jim, track 6 of your mixtape, and I always do this when I make up a compilation or play this for someone. Something a little bit left field, a little bit obscure, maybe a B-side or an album track, or something just a little bit sort of out there.
I feel like I'm gonna bring it. I'm gonna bookend this with Fugazi because
Right.
they have a song called Sweet and Low, which is an instrumental song
Mhm.
that I used to
Yeah.
play in the tour van on repeat until the point where people would just scream at me to turn it off because I would
Yeah.
play it. I just love that song so
Yeah.
much. But it's like, yeah, it is. I'm gonna bookend it with Fugazi, and that's what I'm gonna do. And I think it's a killer song that doesn't get the love it deserves because it's, instrumentals are usually a
Yeah.
little bit less listened to, right? But man,
Sure.
what a ridiculous groove.
I'm not familiar with that one, but one of the things I like doing about like about doing this show is discovering new music like that. Like, you know, people come on with their recommendations, and especially people like yourself. It's, you know, it's amazing for me to just to be able to sit here and pick your brains about what music you like and what you're into, and I discover so much new stuff that way. It's so good.
Yeah.
Okay, Jim, thanks so much for coming on the show, mate. Safe travels down under. Really looking forward to see you at the Rosemount Hotel, 23rd of May. It's metropolistouring.com for tickets for that. And yeah, thanks a lot, Jim. And I hope your collarbone heals soon, mate.
Thank you, man. I appreciate your time.
No problem. And you too, mate. See you later.
See you later.
That was the Mixtape podcast. Thank you so much for listening. Don't forget to jump up to the top of the page and smash that follow button, and you'll be notified every time there's a new episode. Or follow me on Instagram at the Mixtape Perf. Till the next time.